it's TxStampin Sharon. On today's video, we're gonna make 3 elegant, easy Christmas cards. They're gorgeous. You're gonna love the foils, you're gonna love the cards. I hope that you're inspired. If you currently already don't have a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I'd be honored to help you with your Stampin' Up supply needs. If you love these cards today, why don't you share it with some of your crafty friends? Because everyone is gonna be making Christmas cards, and why not make some easy, elegant ones? If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do so below. And then after you subscribe, hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload a video or I do a YouTube live. If you ever need to contact me, find out about my blog, my newsletter, you can find all of that in the description box below. Just click the Read More button. Let's get started. On today's video, we're going to be making 3 Christmas cards assembly line style, because sometimes you need to do that. I'm going to be using Wrapped in Christmas and the stitch shaped dies. First, I want you to see the cards up close. I could not wait to get my hands on the foil, red and green foils. I dreamed about them. I was like, oh my gosh. Now this one, I don't know if you can see the sheen. We're going to do a little fun technique to give us that sheen. And then here's this one. I have all my supplies cut and ready. So we're going to start with the measurements for card number 1. I have a piece of scrap. I have a scrap piece of the red foil that measures 3 by 3 because that fits my die. I have a piece of green foil that is 3 by 4. I love cutting the 12 by 12 paper either by 3 or by 4 because I can get more use out of that 12 by 12. I have 2 pieces of Whisper White that measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. And my card base is Real Red and it is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored and folded at 4 1/4. For my second card, I have another Real Red card base, same measurements, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I have my wonderful gems. I tell you, taking pictures of these just doesn't do it justice. I hope you can see on the video how pretty they are. Then I have 2 more pieces of Whisper White that are also 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have a piece of the red foil that is 1 1/2 by 4 1/4. And then I have the Whisper White that is 1 1/4 by 4. My third card, I have the green foil that is also 3 by 4. My Real Red cardstock is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. I have a piece of Whisper White that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I have the Whisper White thick that is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using the Evergreen Forest 3D embossing folder, and of course our new friend, the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And for this one, I need the number 1 platform, and I need the number 4 plate. We're going to place the foil in the embossing folder, and I'm using this line right here to make sure that my foil is straight. You also want to make sure that you capture the top of this tree. I did that once and didn't catch it, so I want to point that out to you. Next, I'm going to take my scraps for my circle dies, and I need my die platform. So I have platform number 1, plate number 2, and then I have 1 cutting plate, number 3. And by the way, this is the circle that measures right at 2.5. And then I have a smaller circle, and it measures right at 2 inches. I'm using my scrap of Whisper White, and then we'll run this through. I want to share with you what I did, because in the past, for years, I have always liked to have 2 sets of plates. One I use for embossing folders only. So when you're looking at the Stampin' Cut and Emboss platform, this is where you would be using it for the thin dies. But when you jump down here for embossing folders, so I would use my clear plates when I have a standard embossing folder. Now the 3D one still requires the gray plate. And why do I do that? Because some embossing folders have a lot of detail. And sometimes when these plates start to warp, then I lose some of that detail. So I keep 2 sets of plates. Okay, we're ready to start our work. I've got a real red stamp pad. I have my stamp. I'm going to stamp that. We're going to adhere our Whisper White layer using liquid glue. Always want to use liquid glue when you're doing embossed layers. We have another layer of Whisper White that's going to go on the inside. I decided to do the video this way today in case you want to gather your supplies and stamp along. You can stop and start the video and make these Christmas cards, or some very similar, just using my measurements. So now we're going to apply our foil. And up here at the top, I'm going to take this end and I'm going to kind of smush that down a little bit, because I don't want to see the lines through the foil on the other side. And then we're just going to line this up. Now, where did I get my inspiration for this card? I'll show you. So inspiration is all around us. This is the current holiday mini catalog. And when I looked up the folder and I saw this card, I was like, oh, I really like that. Now this card is a little bit different shape. However, it's the same thing. They embossed the trees on the Whisper White and then embossed on the gold foil. So there you go. That's what inspired me. So we're going to add these 2 layers together. And then we're going to pop it up with some dimensionals to give it some personality. Whoops. There we go. So pretty. So fast, right? Let's do another one. So we have our layers. I have a scrap for my sentiment layer. So first we're going to add our Whisper White. To our card base. And then we're going to add our green layer. I just think that these turned out to be very elegant cards and easy. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comments below what you think, because I love reading the comments, and I feel like that's how we get to know each other. A lot of you have been watching my channel for a long time, and you always comment. And when I don't see your comments, I worry about you. It's like, where are they? I haven't heard from her. Now we're going to add these 2 layers to our card front. And you know, sometimes I will take and place some something heavy on there, so the big clear blocks come in very handy for that, just to make sure everything's stuck down good while I'm working on something else. I have my Timeless Label Punch, my Real Red ink pad, and my sentiment. We're going to punch that out. We're going to add some dimensionals to the back. And I find with just a few minutes of something heavy on there, it really keeps all those glued layers straight down and gives them a chance to get set. May not be completely dry, but they're set. There we go. Another fast card. Ready for the last one? Now for our next card, we're going to do a little technique. I realized that I had not played with the Frost White shimmer paint. Now the shimmer paint has like a little ball or something in there, and you always want to shake it when you use it. I took and poured a few drops into one of my spritzers. So when you buy the spritzers, you buy 2 in a package, and they're called Stampin' Spritzers. You're just going to pour a few drops in, and then you're going to fill it up with rubbing alcohol. So when you first pour the paint into the spritzer, it's going to set at the bottom, and then you'll just fill it up with alcohol, and then you want to shake it, and that will mix everything together. And then you want to protect your area because there will be a little bit of overspray. You want to make sure that the nozzle is pointed down and not at your finger. It's kind of a tiny little thing. And then you just kind of come up above it and just spritz. So pretty. Gives a great sheen. You will need to let it dry, but as the alcohol dries, you might be able to see some spots of alcohol, but the alcohol will dry. You don't want to use water. Water will leave those little spots, unless that's the look you want, but I don't think you want that. So we're going to let this dry for a few minutes, and then we'll be back. So as I was preparing for the video, I started playing. I took a sponge dauber, and I put it in the cap. Unless you're pouring that into like the spritzer bottle, this is the best way to use the paint because you just get a little bit. Otherwise, you have a mess. And a little bit goes a long way. So I had embossed a little scrap piece, and then I did this. Well, then it got over onto this part, but I was just trying to make it look like frost on the trees or something. It took a long time to dry on the foil. I'm just telling you all this just in case you decide, wonder what this would do. But it's really pretty. Looks kind of like snow maybe a little bit. But like I said, I made a mess. But, you know, maybe if you're more careful, maybe if you used a paintbrush instead of a dauber, that might work. But just to give you an idea what that looked like, thought I'd share. Okay, we're going to put our card together. Now, I did go ahead and grab my heat gun so that I could finish the video. and it worked just fine. I did keep flipping it over because, you know, the heat makes it curl, but look how straight that is. I was pretty impressed. All right, we're just going to put this card together. Oh, I got red ink on me, you see? All right, we know what we do for that, don't we? We grab our hand sanitizer, clean up our hands before I pick up that Whisper White because I'm sure I will transfer that ink. Now the ink stain is still there, but the wetness of the ink, if that's what you want to call it, the part that can do smudges is gone. I know that you cannot see how pretty this card is with that sheen, but it just, oh, I hope you can see it. It's just so pretty. Now you could use shimmery white cardstock too, but sometimes it's just fun to play with paint. So we're going to assemble our layers while that is setting up. My Real Red ink pad. I just thought that this sentiment was so pretty. I love the script. I love the font. And I love the saying, Christmas blessings to you and yours. So pretty. I just think this is a simple yet elegant card. What do you think? So we're going to add these two with a little bit of adhesive. I love the liquid glue. It lets me kind of line it up. Sometimes some of the other adhesives, it's pretty permanent. So, okay. We're going to add some dimensionals to the back. And now we're going to add this to our card front. And now we're going to add this to our card front. And then we're going to add some wonderful gems. Add our Whisper White layer, and we'll be done. How fast was that for 3 quick Christmas cards that are gorgeous, super gorgeous? I hope that I've inspired you. I hope I've given you some ideas how to do some assembly line work with your cards. Do all your embossing first, your cutting first, whatever you need to do, and then just start assembling, and you'll be done with those Christmas cards before you know it. Happy stamping, y'all.